Welcome everyone to this evening's Pride Perspective. Tonight's topic, the Institute of Active Learning and the Saturday Programming. My name is Roberta Liedl. I am the Dean of Teaching and Learning, and I will be your host for tonight's webinar. Before I introduce our panelists, a quick housekeeping item. Please feel free to submit any questions through the chat function, and we'll do our best to answer them. If we don't get to your question, someone will reach out to you directly to get those answered. So on to introductions. Tonight panelists include Nick Vega. We have all seniors this year, or this Pride Perspective. Nick Vega, it was part of our Leadership Institute. We have Ratrell Perry. He is in our Citizenship Institute. Luke Daly is in our Environmental Stewardship. And then we have Mr. Harf, who is the Director of College Counseling, Mr. Morris, our new Associate Headmaster, and Headmaster Bill Taylor. So welcome everyone. Thanks for participating in this webinar tonight. And I guess I want to start off right out of the bat with Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, what are the Institutes for Active Learning?
Great, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for spending some time to learn more about what's going on at Trinity-Pawling. The Institutes for Active Learning are new this year. They are sort of the latest iteration of our curriculum that has really been refined and complemented to lean in to how we can teach boys best. You know, we have tremendous experience in teaching boys, and the research over the years is pretty clear on how boys learn best, and they learn best by being active and being really engaged with what they are learning. They learn best by working in groups or teams. They learn best by being creative and to experience what they are learning in one way or another. And so the Institutes for Active Learning were planned. We began planning for them in March of 2020 in our faculty meeting before everybody left for spring break in 2020. And I sort of outlined what this would be and what we would do in the next year and a third to get ready to launch this for the school year of 2021 and 2022. And that faculty meeting was on March 9th. And then March 11th, COVID was declared a global pandemic. And shortly after that, things really began to change pretty distinctively for us all, but particularly in the world of education. But we kept going in our planning for these institutes because we wanted to make sure that when we got to the other side of this bridge of COVID, that we had some momentum behind the planning and some wind behind our sails, so we could launch this. So there are 4 institutes for active learning. One is the Institute of Leadership. One is the Institute for Citizenship. A third is the Institute for Entrepreneurialism. And the fourth is the Institute for Environmental Stewardship. And so each of these 4 different themes are equipped with faculty who have elected to join one of these institutes, and then seniors who have also elected to sort of align themselves with one of these 4 different institutes. And this year, what we're doing to sort of roll these institutes out is using our Saturday programming to engage the entire school community in some co-curricular learning opportunities around each of these 4 different areas. So each institute is responsible for 3 Saturdays during the course of the academic year. And so we have had 3 institute Saturdays thus far in the fall term. And our 4th is the entrepreneurial Institute's Saturday coming up in a few days. And then we have other Saturday programming that will take the rest of this fall term, and then we'll have more institutes in the winter and more institutes in the spring. And several years ago, we moved away from traditional academic classes on Saturday, believing that Saturday mornings could be a great way to engage the boys and the faculty in different ways of learning, more project-based opportunities for learning, and then with the institutes, more experiential based ways for learning. And so the institutes were created to lean into opportunities for how boys learn best. And so that's sort of the origin. And as I said, we're in the first year of rolling this out. As we develop these further, they'll develop to have much more rich content in both curricular planning and co-curricular planning.
So why these four? Why these four topics?
Great. Two real reasons for them. There are four areas that are very relevant to today's changing world. Never has there been more of a clear need for leadership. And so we wanted to make sure that we were being very specific about teaching leadership. We've always excelled in that area. We began our senior leadership program here at Trinity-Pawling in the early 1990s. But this was an opportunity to expand on that work that we've all done so well. Citizenship in a increasingly global world, the importance of citizenship, not just global citizenship, but national citizenship, local citizenship, has become even more important, valuable. And as much as sort of technology can sometimes isolate us or put us into groups based on technology, citizenship and teaching young people what it means to be an active and engaged citizen is sort of a countercultural pushback against some of that, to strip it down to its basics, that when you live in a community, when you live in a nation, we have responsibilities, and it's important to understand what those responsibilities are, but then to work with people, including people who have different opinions, different ideas, and to come together for the betterment of the common good. So that's the idea behind citizenship. Entrepreneurialism, that has been the core of the school's focus on project-based learning, being very creative, learning how to solve problems, which is the essence of an entrepreneurial spirit. And so that is very relevant to today's ever-changing world. And then, of course, the responsibilities that we all have for the environment, but also the focus on the environment here at Trinity-Pawling allows us to lean into our nearly 240-acre campus, excuse me, and use this as a more of a resource. We have an active farm on the campus. We have hiking trails, biking trails through the campus. Wonderful way to teach young people, teach old people how valuable the environment that surrounds us is. And so those four areas are very relevant to preparing young people for leadership in their world. But there are also four areas that when we started looking at what the students were choosing for projects and choosing to, when they had the choice to do their own independent work, they tended to rally around one of these four different areas. And so that also sort of spoke to us and said, these are areas of interest for the boys.
I couldn't agree more.
Mr. Harf, I've talked to sort of about the origin of all this, but you're, as the director of college guidance, how do you see the role of these institutes now and how they're going to develop as being valuable in the college process, both for sort of the self-discovery aspect of a young person deciding how they're going to where they're going to apply, what they want to pursue, but how also are colleges beginning to respond to this type of initiative?
Yeah, thank you, Bill. In terms of how the actual colleges are responding, it's been overwhelmingly positive. Mr. Dunham was my counterpart in the office, and I heard all summer as schools started to, a lot of schools have already committed to, through the last 2 years and then for the next 2 years, to be test optional. So no ACTs or SATs required in their admissions process. And then there's a whole group of schools that are kind of going at this year by year. But other than a few schools out there, even for this senior class, the guys who are graduating in 2022, there's still a large majority of these colleges, again, they're missing this big piece of data of, their students or their applicants' test scores. And what the colleges are telling us is they actually aren't missing that data as much as they thought they were. But what they do need out of the students who are applying with no test scores is, hey, what did you do in all this time that you weren't spending taking tests, quite literally, and also, maybe you weren't studying and on Khan Academy or working with an SAT tutor. So there's this big chunk of time that students have gotten back. And what I love about the Institute is this is Trinity-Pawling's answer to, well, we've filled up our students' time with learning about leadership and citizenship and environmental stewardship and entrepreneurship. So it becomes this really impactful answer that our students can give on college essays, in interviews, or when we have reps on campus or on Zoom that they're meeting with. And that question comes up of, well, if you're not, what have you been doing outside of your traditional math, science, English classroom? And then I think you pair it with the part that Bill hasn't talked about yet that I love, because it's one of my favorite parts of working at Trinity-Pawling, is the practicum for civic leadership. So that's for those who are familiar with it, it's the winter project that your freshman and sophomore classes do, and then the global collaborative challenge that your seniors and postgraduates do, and then the senior independent project that all of our returning seniors. And then PGs, like Luke is a PG this year. He would have an opportunity to do that if he chose to, instead of the Global Collaborative Challenge. The institutes this year have started to weave their way into each of those legs of the practicum. So winter projects, the first year we rolled it out, mine and Mr. Taylor's first year. I teach economics, and our directive as winter project teachers was to take another academic discipline. So I worked with like a Spanish teacher. So we had a history department and a Spanish teacher, or Spanish department instructor. Now it doesn't matter where you teach, it's that we want to have a winter project that might have leadership and citizenship elements folded together, or we might want environment and citizenship folded together. So the kids are getting exposed to this really early on, as even in the middle school as they're doing their winter projects. Then the Global Collaborative Challenge, students are answering, it's like, I always laugh because sometimes the smartest adults in the world can't figure out the questions that we've asked our 17 and 18-year-old juniors, like, how do you solve the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? Well, this year, I'm really excited because we might be able to have two groups that are answering the same question, one from a citizenship lens and one from an environmental lens. So you can both answer, how do you solve the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? Well, one group could look at it with the skills that we're teaching in the Citizenship Institute, and one could look at it purely from the environmental stewardship example. And then the senior independent project is the opportunity that the seniors have not only to help mentor the younger students throughout these Institute Saturdays, which you'll hear from these guys in a little bit, but now the senior independent project during the winter session allows the student to take a deep dive into one of these 4 institutes. So it's becoming I think it's almost much more, it's more tangible now, I think, for kids to start out, because it's not this, hey, what are you interested in question. It's, okay, you've clearly shown an interest in entrepreneurship. Now, how can we pivot and put your own kind of spin on that?
I mean, I think that's, thank you for connecting the two. I think you did a great job of sort of describing how they fit together, and they're designed to fit together. They are now sort of complementary angles of the same structure. And
I like to think of the institute as these four pillars that we build the practicum and our experiential learning around, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a great image. And again, the reason that we've done both, and the reason that they're now combined, is not only to take advantage for how boys learn best, but is to do that while at the same time providing them avenues, each student with an avenue to better sort of explore what they have interests in. What, where are their potential strengths? Where are areas that are bringing them joy, or at the very least appeal or interest that they want to dig deeper into. And that also ties back into what is so necessary in teaching boys, giving them some autonomy over how they're learning, what they're going to learn, how it's going to relate to their life. And we talk all the time about the importance of boys understanding what their gifts and talents are. And both the practicum and the institutes are designed to be runways for them to better explore their gifts and their talents. I know Roberta, you and Scott did a tremendous job last spring and the summer, preparing for this, and talk about, as you were planning, what are the objectives for the institutes for this first academic year?
Well, this has absolutely been a passion project for me, and I have enjoyed working with Scott, and we definitely grapple with some of the engagement pieces of making sure we understand what boys are looking for. We're talking different generations here, and understanding that them pursuing their passion and interest is really important, and us becoming the student and paying attention to our boys here and understanding what drives their passions. So we've done a lot of planning and a lot of evaluation, and we added Tom to the mix, Mr. Morris to the mix, and we appreciate his years of experience and creativity. We dragged him in with us, and we continued. This is evolving. So we started out with our faculty and giving them a choice on where they wanted to participate, because just like the boys, we want them to have that experience of expanding and learning and understanding a passion of their own. In our out service last year, we had all the faculty participate in some brainstorming activities, and generating ideas and coming up with plans for all 3 seasons, basically. And then when they came back on campus, we expanded that, and Scott has added the seniors. The seniors all had choices on what they wanted to join into, and they're part of that process. So each group is run by a minimum of 13 to 15 faculty, and 13 to 15 seniors, that's part of their senior independent project. And it starts out with some real scaffolding. So the first one around, the adults are doing a lot of the planning, and the seniors are supporting. And by the springtime, we're hoping that the seniors are running the show, and all the faculty are the support staff. We're looking for engagement. We are testing things out. They're getting outside, and I had the pleasure over the last few to get out there and take pictures and see the activities. And I'm really excited with the boys engagement in this process. So we're learning, we take feedback, we're expanding. It's really exciting. I don't know, Tom, if you'd like to add what you've experienced as we entered into the Institute realm.
Well, sure. Hi, everybody. Tom Morris, Associate Headmaster, and I'm very grateful to be part of this special community. And it's been a great deal of fun to arrive at Trinity-Pawling at this time as the institutes are being sort of realized into action. The transition from the planning and ideation stage into breathing life into them has been a lot of fun. And what's been, as sort of the new person here, what's been exciting to watch, and I think very telling about this school community, is the truly collaborative approach between faculty and students in this process. I think it's been a great experience to watch adults grapple with some challenging projects, students grapple with sort of the different angles on those projects, and come up with a neat sort of synergy in making in bringing this project-based learning and this experiential learning to life.
Excellent. Scott, do you have anything more to add to this planning process? We've kind of gone through the overview, but.
No, I don't, but I think I would love to hear Luke and Rutrell and Nick kind of give us their, talk about your guys' experience with what you guys have done on Saturdays. You guys haven't gotten to introduce yourselves yet, so as you go, maybe we'll start with Luke just because you're first on my screen. But Luke, introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do here at Trinity-Pawling, and then talk about your institute and what you guys did on your Saturday.
Hello, I'm Luke Daly. I'm from Rye, New York, and this is my first year here. I'm a PG, and I'm part of the Environmental Institute. And 3 Saturdays ago, we split up into a bunch of different groups. Personally, the group that I led was day students, but for example, Cluet 2 did their own thing. Cluet 3 did, I believe Cluet 2 and 3 own thing, and then Barstow did their own and whatnot. But we organized into a bunch of different groups and did a bunch of different things. My group in particular, we went up to the farm and we dug holes and planted trees, apple trees, pear trees, and plum trees actually. And we also built a compost bin. But other groups went on a hike. Another group did campus cleanup, and another group did sustainable cooking in the dining hall, and another one did bike trails, and then another one learned how to build fires, and I think they were cooking. So it was very diverse things that we had done that day, and I think everybody really enjoyed being outside and getting their hands dirty doing things. I mean, I saw that the kids that built a bike trail, I mean, they were out there for a while and made some great progress, and we also did pretty well. We planted a lot of trees and made some great progress on the compost bin. So I just really enjoyed being outside and being involved with something like this. And I was really excited that working on the farm, I mean, we're building a compost bin that will eventually be used for to take the waste from the dining hall and use that as compost for fertilizer for the plants and trees that we grow here. So it's pretty neat that we all are kind of having a hand in transforming this community to be like a healthier and more sustainable community. I mean, that's pretty cool that the apples and fruits that we eat here are the ones that we plant. So that's something that I really enjoyed.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke. Rutrell, you want to go next?
I sure will. Hello, my name is Richelle Perry. I'm from New London. That's in Connecticut. And my institution, we had 8 different countries, I believe, that had their own like theme to it. So, for example, my country had, well, I was a part of Sweden, and we did a thing called Fika. What Fika is if Sweden, they do 2 coffee breaks a day that basically lets their mind and their souls just calm down and just think about life for a little bit before they had to go back to work or whatever they were about to do beforehand. So they would have a set time to enjoy coffee with one of their friends or a family member for a little bit, like 10 to 15 minutes. Then they get back to work. And there was different countries that had different things, like different themes. So Ireland had island dancing or Irish dancing, sorry. China had, I believe, shadow puppets. Norway had candy, and I believe Jamaica had jerk chicken. So it was great that everybody had different experience with different countries they never seen or never like been a part of. And I thought it was great that when you came to my country, Sweden, that you get to calm down, relax, talk to friends, and enjoy the nature around you. And right after that, you go to get some jerk chicken from one of my one of the institutions where I held by Mason Court. And also you get to try out new dancing moves from Ireland. So I thought it was great to see everybody learn something new, be a part of something new, and learn something that you never really get to do, or unless you travel there, or unless you like heard about it or seen it on the website.
Ratrell, I want to add to that Mr. Taylor was out there doing a little Irish dancing with the boys. I saw that, and that was good. I think we have some pictures, and I encourage everyone to check our social media out, because I know that these Institute Saturdays are being posted. So I'm sure we caught him there somewhere. So.
And Ratrell, you were, forgive me if you already said this, you were Citizenship, right? That's your institute?
Oh yes, that was I was part of Citizenship.
Okay, awesome. And then Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick Vega. I'm from the Bronx, and last weekend I was a part of the Leadership Institute. We led a game called War and Peace that the week prior we had learned how to play. So I may not be the best at explaining the rules of the game, but so each team was assigned 2 cards. Each one had war and one had peace. So if both teams had chosen peace, +5 points were added to the board. If one team had chosen peace and then the other one had chosen war, the team that had chosen war gets +15 and the other one gets -5. If those teams choose war, each team loses -20. So that already sounds very chaotic, and it was. There was about, I want to say, 10 teams when we played, and each team had about 5 people. And so an interesting aspect that we added to it was there were there were freshmen and seniors were playing against each other. And that brought out a whole new dynamic that we didn't expect at all. In the ending, we ended up seeing that the freshmen won. But the game really brought out leadership qualities in almost everyone. Obviously, there were some people that stepped forward as like vocal leaders, but almost everybody had some sort of leadership quality come out when they were playing the game. To play the game and be successful was almost crucial that people were vocal about what they thought, what cards should be put forward and how it should be played. So from that, we saw a lot of leadership qualities, and at the end, I don't know how they did it, but the freshmen ended up winning. Maybe it's something they got on us seniors, but it was definitely a great experience. Playing it the week prior was definitely fun. I played with the faculty, and then seeing how the freshmen played it compared to the seniors was interesting. So yeah, this institute is nothing that I've done before with school. It leads to a whole new avenue of learning and leadership that I really have not experienced before. It was great.
Yeah, guys, I'm interested, in sort of the planning process, because, as senior leaders, we asked you, and the faculty sort of asked you to help with the planning and help with the execution of it. Did that, when you're sort of put in charge of organizing and making sure that, that it's going to be successful, you want it to be successful. How does that, is that a different way of you sort of learning how to prepare for whatever it may be, whether, a test like you've done in class or a game? But, it's the same process, but it's different when you're sort of in there in real time. Talk a little bit about sort of the planning process and what you learned from it.
Yeah, sure. So I believe it was the week before that we did the environmental day on Saturday. We came together with the faculty and just brainstormed and threw ideas around. And it's important to think what ideas would be valuable for these kids. We didn't want to just kind of throw around. We really wanted to make sure that everyone had a good time and had a meaningful experience. So, I mean, there were some ideas that were thrown out immediately and others that were modified, but it was just, it was good, like just collaborating with the faculty and getting great feedback on what to do, and then also deciding who would lead each group. The kid that was ended up with campus cleanup wasn't too happy because every other activity sounded a lot more fun than that. But it was you had to compromise, and also I wanted everyone who was doing this day, I wanted them to find something that they enjoyed. And so we, at the end of the day, we just wanted to make it enjoyable for both the faculty and the students, and I think we did a pretty good job with that.
Nick and Rutrell, what were your thoughts about sort of the planning process?
Yeah, the planning process the week prior to playing the game last week was interesting because we had the ability to play the game. So to learn the game, we played the game alongside the faculty. So each one of us senior leaders were divided into a group of, I believe, 2 faculty. And we had, I guess, in preparation, we worked on our leadership skills. Even though we were surrounded by faculty, we had to find a way to make sure that our voice was heard and that we were able to get what we needed to say across so that we could have an actual say in the decision that went forward in picking War and Peace. So that was definitely interesting. And then offering possible changes to the game that Mr. Mead had put forward for us. That was also another time that we had to come through, and even if the faculty may not have agreed with the possible decision, but we came through and we said it. I know multiple people have done that. So
that's actually a very valuable lesson, Nick. How to work with people. And I listen, I think when you're working to create something for it's going to be experienced by the students, you want to have the students make sure that their voice is heard. So, Bertrell, what was your experience?
Honestly, my experience was pretty chill with learning about Sweden, because I had Miss Tucci as my group leader, and also I had a kid from London that never really thought about or never been outside of London. And when he learned about Sweden and what they do, it was kind of interesting. Like seeing his reaction is also like him getting to see like different places since he's never been outside of London. And it was also great for me that I learned that they do a thing called Fika. Like I never heard of it, and then Miss Tucci always has it as her license plate. So it was crazy how they're really fond of it. And Mr. Taylor, when you came down, you learned something valuable out of that too. And that's really about it. I'm sorry, I don't have really much to say. My experience is just really chill.
No, I was looking forward to the Fika. It was my last stop. And I've always heard Mrs. Tucci talk about it, but it was great to experience it through you, Rutrell, and the other students who you explained it to me then, and other students did too. I mean, that's the way you want to learn about something new from somebody who's sort of experiencing it themselves. Mr. Morris, you've sort of touched on this. I mean, you're new here. Your career has always been or predominantly been in places that are very student-centered. This is obviously a student-centered type of initiative, or at least we're trying to make sure that it is. This is your first experience teaching at an all-boys school, although you've been in very student-centered places, as I said. What's your reaction, not just to the institutes, but the student-centered aspect of Trinity-Pawling, which is really what gives impetus and rise to something like the institutes?
Well, as at any truly student-centered school, sort of the special sauce are the relationships between adults and the kids, because it's those relationships where kids feel known, they feel valued, they feel safe. Those relationships enable kids to sort of step into the discomfort of really great learning, whether it's classroom learning or experiential learning. And as a new person here, I can tell you that the relationships between the boys and the faculty are really extraordinary. If you look at the boys' body language throughout the day, their body language says that they are safe, they're engaged, they're relaxed, they're smiling, they're open to learning, they're open to taking, a good, healthy risk in the classroom, or, they're open to being vulnerable with their peers or with an adult. And so it's a pretty powerful culture to see in action. And then to see, that culture manifests itself in experiential learning, whether it's the practicum or the institutes, is really, it's exciting. And I was up this morning at the farm with the ninth graders and the middle schoolers, and I think it was Luke who mentioned, planting a tree or working on the compost pile. But what goes into those experiences is a lot of adult work behind the scenes, where they're sort of lending their expertise to these learning experiences that on one level can look pretty conventional, but at a deeper level, the boys here and the faculty are really working hard to create something very distinctive, something very unique. And then I think too about this type of learning, and there are really kind of two sides to it. I think one is the boys come away from this type of learning, whether it's the institutes or the practicum, on one level, I think with an opportunity to explore something that they're passionate about, and to lean into their curiosity. And then that leaning into curiosity only fuels autonomy down the road, because they tap into something and they follow it. And there's a lot of room here in these different projects and in the institutes for kids to pursue different angles that are meaningful to them. And the adults behind the scenes with those projects have a lot of latitude to sort of shape things and bend them in ways that fit student passions, which is fun to see. And that takes, I sit across the hall from Mr. Harf when he's talking with the seniors about their senior independent projects. Like, that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of trust and a lot of good dialogue to help get those seniors to the point where they're ready to dive into this project. And on another level, and we've touched on it a couple of times, this kind of learning yields a set of so-called soft skills that are absolutely essential for our boys to be successful in college and beyond. The ability to work independently, the ability to have a dialogue with someone, the ability to be proactive, to organize, to communicate, to collaborate, to plan, to execute something, execute a project, bring it to fruition. those are skills that are so essential for the boys to have. And I think what they don't realize, or they won't realize until they get to college or beyond, is the degree to which they've been immersed in learning all of those skills. You know, pretty much, you know, for our current freshmen, for second weekend they were here, their education in those skill sets began.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, you know, Luke, Nick, Rochelle, you know, the purpose of tonight is to talk about the institutes, which is, you know, we're not doing that the bulk of the week. So, you know, just to make sure that everybody knows that, you know, the learning experience here is not confined to drinking coffee or learning Irish dancing. What, you know, what are some of the what other classes are you taking, and you know, what is the classroom environment like?
So I'm taking AP Euro, AP Calc, Environmental Science, and AP English Literature. And at my old schools, the class size was a lot bigger than here, and I really like that each class I really only have about like 5 to 10 kids in it, and it allows for greater discussions like with the teacher and students, and it's a lot more attention of the teacher to focused on individual students, which I really like. And you know, we've in all my classes we've had you know, great seminars, and really the teachers just want to talk a lot, and it's like talk amongst the students, and it's not just, you know, the teacher leading it the entire time. And there's a lot of collaboration among the students, which I really appreciate, because I've definitely been used to way bigger class sizes and a lot less, or I guess I would say a lot more just teachers talking and less collaboration from the.
Latrell, what are your classes right this year?
My classes so far consist of digital media, statistics, English, and anatomy.
And Nick, what about you?
I'm taking AP Physics, AP Macro, an independent study with Mr. Tiford called Literary Analysis and Writing, alongside Honors Calc. And just to go off of what Luke said, I'd like to focus on my AP Physics class. I've never been someone who considers myself gifted in science. It's always giving me trouble. I think back to my freshman year biology, but having a teacher like Ms. Feeney, and a lot of my other teachers are like this, that seriously do care about us understanding the material and doing whatever it takes to help us get through that material, especially a class like AP Physics 1, has been great. Extra help is really productive. Ms. Feeney is really available for us whenever we need help, and in that class I need a lot, but it's been helping me get through it. Yeah, the teachers here are really, really great when it comes to extra help, which I believe that's what makes you the high level student than what you're already at, the extra step that you go. So yeah.
Thank you. You know, and you weren't expecting me to ask you those questions, so I appreciate how thoughtful you answered them without being prompted ahead of time. But the reason I asked you those questions is that, you know, something like the institutes or the practicum, you know, that's the school being innovative and to trying things that are new. But, you know, we're also, you know, we also, you know, are traditional in other aspects of the experience here too. Yeah, the class sizes are smaller, but you're taking the same types of classes maybe that you'd take in another place. But the way that the innovation and the tradition are designed to work here is that, you know, the innovation allows you to strengthen some other skills that will help you, be better in the traditional part too. And that's designed to prepare you for college and life beyond college. Is, in those, when you get into some of those unstructured planning events like you guys have all done for those Saturdays, that's a different way of preparing for sort of life's unstructured moments and unstructured moments that are going to come in college and things like that. And so they are designed, sort of the tradition and the innovation are designed to work together. And as the institutes evolve, you'll see even more of that symbiosis happening here. Right now, the institutes are geared toward, more co-curricular programming. In time, they are going to, inform more of the actual curricular programming too.
Bill, I have a few questions that have come up. Love to put out there. Someone asked, is it possible the students can get off campus to participate in community service? I think one of the, the citizenship pieces is plays a role, but they would like to know, how does that expand, or is there plans for that expansion?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, Citizenship Institute will sponsor service trips, and like we've done before, but now they're going to be led by the Citizenship Institute. Doesn't mean it all has to be on a Saturday morning when the citizenship is in charge of the programming. It could be a service trip on a Sunday or during the week, but it'll be sponsored by the Citizenship Institute, an opportunity for boys to get off of campus and to engage in that. Absolutely.
And another question is about some of the scheduling for Saturday programs. So we have the institutes, and we've talked about that each institute will have a Saturday in a term, and some of the other things that go on our Saturdays in a part of our programming.
Sure. Well, we have opportunities for speakers to come in and work with the students and on certain germane topics. We have opportunities as we get ready for our winter session to select winter projects. I know Mr. Harf, Mr. Dunham are working with seniors, on some college work and senior independent project work. So we're making good use of this time on Saturdays, and part of what we're working to do is to educate everybody that just because we're not in the classroom on Saturdays doesn't mean that it's not learning and not academic. It is deeply academic. It's valuable time. It's time that is just being spent in a different way to reinforce the overall learning here.
Yeah, and I would add that the beauty of these Institute Saturdays is also the developmentally diverse population that it is. Our youngest members of our community are working right beside our senior leaders, and they're learning from each other, and including our faculty. So those soft skills, that self-awareness, the creativity that comes out, it's really exciting to watch, and the enthusiasm that comes from a really good activity or something that they discovered. I know with the Environmental Institute, they did orienteering, and it was really funny to watch them, trudge along. The mist was coming up over, in the valley here, and it was the morning, and they're all meeting around the flagpole, and here they go. They give them a compass, and most of them have never touched a compass. And then Mr. Weber kind of gave them the overview of how to start orienteering. And then, with each orienteering, they actually found an item, and they ended up building a fire at the end and making a cookout with each item. So it was, a little bit of a survival tactic. And it was wonderful to see them, start from this kind of sleepy-eyed young men in the morning, and then they're sitting there cooking sausages over their own fire that they built at 11:30 in the morning. Or so those pieces of watching them just kind of crack open as they're going through these things is exciting to watch and be a part of.
Roberta, I know what's our upcoming sessions for this series, Pride Perspectives?
So the next Pride Perspective is on October 27th, and the topic is Tradition plus Innovation equals Trinity-Pawling's Distinction. So I hope that people join us for that. And I do know that we are doing fireside chats. I'm not sure of the dates, but I welcome people to look on our website, and I'm sure those dates are posted. And once again, to go and look at our social media to check out the pictures of the Saturday events and what the boys are doing. I know as I watched this past one and watched our leadership group institute spread out across the turf field, it was really neat to watch. And of course, you know, the weather, Mother Nature has been with us for this, and we're hoping we continue with that because we've had the most beautiful Saturdays for the kids to participate and get outside and get active. So let's hope it continues. So.
Well, thank you all for being a part of this. Luke, Nick, and Latrell, thank you for taking some time on a Wednesday night. Appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you for everyone. So I just want to thank our panelists, and thank you, Headmaster Taylor and Mr. Morris and Mr. Harf for joining us. Please join us for the next Pride Perspective on the 27th. And if you have further questions, don't hesitate to forward them our way, and we'll get you the answers. So more to come.
Okay.
Have a good
Good
one.
night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.